appreciated nonetheless. I think I should be recording. Um, yeah, before I start, I just want to say thank you. Like, it's a really, really, really thank you. Like, it means a lot. It means a lot that you took the time to come do this for me.
I know
Uh,
worries, mate. You're
I
doing
know
your
you're a
thing.
busy man.
No problem at all, mate. Never too busy to have a quick conversation. No worries.
How's it been going? Obviously, you've having to come back after them two that massive loss. What mindset are you in right now? How are you
Yeah,
feeling?
yeah. I mean, it's listen. It was a big loss. It was like one of them losses that like a lot of people they probably will never see the boxing ring again. It was
Yeah,
but my biggest stage. I was devastated. There's no way to put it up really. You can't beat around the bush and say, oh, I'll get over it. No, I was devastated. I'm still undevastated, but
yeah,
the kind of person I am, you have to like you have I've got to put it behind me, and I'm gonna have to work hard in the gym, and I've got my goals set now. New goals, and we just work towards them. Really, that's
yeah.
top four. In life, mate. You don't always get what you deserve, and sometimes shit happens, but um, it's about how you come back from it. And I definitely believe that going to the gym, keep working hard. Having a good vision, having a clean heart, which I have. I think that this is all going to help me get to where I need to be, and that's at the minute is going to be April 20th in Birmingham. So next fight's booked in now.
Looking forward to watching it.
Put on a good performance there, mate, and just go forward after that. Really, you can't
That's
really
it.
can't dwell on the past too much. You know what I mean? Like
No,
these things happen. Don't get me wrong, as hurtful as it is, these things happen, and it has happened. Every great fighter has once lost, most of them anyway. But it's about the comeback now. So
million
fir-
percent.
firmly focused on it.
Tracking, obviously, we're talking about quite the modern past, I suppose, modern past. Going back to your time in Team GB, over 80 amateur fights, 10, what is it, 10 now pro fights. Who has given you the hardest fight ever?
Oh, that's a great question. I've had well over 100 fights. That's just what boxing
Hmm.
looks. But it's not
All
picked up.
right.
But I've probably nearly close to 150.
Oof.
And I've been in with a lot of tough guys. I can't give you one because there's so many, but I will start with Joe Joyce. I've boxed him 4 times. I think and I've never had man raised, so he's got to be up there. There was
Yeah.
also a Russian guy that I'd boxed. His name was Maxim Babinin.
Mm.
You won't really know him, and if you Google him and you see him, you'll think, how has he beat me? He's a little fat Russian kid, but he's beat me. He's beat Joe Joyce. He's beat Tyson Fury. He's beat David Price. He's been around the block. He was
Yeah.
very good. He was always awkward, very good counter puncher. And then obviously my Olympic semi final against the reigning Olympic champion Jalalov. He was a real tough fight.
Yeah. A lot of fighters say he's very, very, very tough.
Yeah, he was tough, mate. He's a big agile heavyweight that moves like a middleweight. So yeah, it was very.
Oh, can imagine. Leading on from that, you've sparred with some of the greatest of all time. Who has hit you the hardest?
Oh, the hardest puncher is actually the hardest puncher. Believe it or not, and I never don't think I'll ever change. Is David Price.
Mm,
Big
David
Price.
Price.
Yeah, I mean, I was only young at the time, and I only did a couple of rounds, and he didn't really hit me flush clean on, but even a jab, I could feel the about broke my neck. I could feel the
Oof.
power. And on this particular day, he really did flatten another heavyweight. So in the sparring session, so yeah, he's definitely the biggest puncher. But also at the same time, he's one of the nicest people I've met in boxing as well. He's always had time for a chat when I've seen him, and yeah,
Oh,
really, real top geezer, mate.
that's
But
lovely. That. Yeah.
top geezer, but yeah, really, really heavy-handed.
Oof. We're talking about hard sparring with the likes of David Price. You've sparred with. There's too many to name. Too many people to name. You know, you've undertaken a lot of training camps, Fraser.
Yeah.
What's been the hardest one for you?
I mean, the hardest camp I've been obviously, but you put yourself through some camps like the
Mm,
both Fabio awarded camps were both brutal on the body. But then when I was on Team G, we used to go to training camps in places like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Russia. They
Mm.
were always really tough, grueling. Not just the place there was, the conditions. They had a lot of good fighters. It was always about -10 there, minus 15 degrees, and there wasn't a lot going on there. So they were always difficult. But I'd say, I've just come away from Saudi Arabia. I've just come back, got back. I was
Yeah,
with Joseph Parker in his camp. That was a great camp. But the toughest I'd definitely say was them amateur ones going all around the world. But yeah, Uzbekistan is it's one that particularly stands out. It was in the mountains with the national team. There was no phone signal, so you couldn't make a call. There's no Wi-Fi. There was no TV. There was the training. There was the rest. There was the food. All the food was killed and cooked from the land. You were a couple of miles away from civilization. So that was definitely the toughest one. 2017 in Uzbekistan.
it's interesting. You touched on there, obviously, training camp with Joseph Parker. I was going to ask this later on, but might as well ask it now.
Oh,
Big fight coming up Saturday. Joseph Parker, Daniel Dubois. You've sparred with them both. You've been
yeah.
around them both. Who are you edging towards winning? Who do you think's going to win that fight?
It's a real. I've had this question a lot the last few days.
I can imagine.
A real difficult one, just because I know we go on about 50-50 fights all the time, but it's a genuine. I don't know what's
50-50.
going to happen.
Yeah.
It's right down the middle. Like, you'd probably say that in terms of form, just because he's boxed a bit more often, maybe the bar's got that form with him, and that that sort of encouragement of having the last few fights. Parker, he's got great form as well, but he's had a little bit more of a steady fights. He's had like a bit of a longer gap in between, so
Yeah, a million percent.
you could probably use that as a bit of an edge for Daniel. But I was in with Joseph in camp, and the way he does his camp is very professional. The whole team was great,
Randy Lee. Yeah.
a really, really good team. So I think that I'm not saying that Daniel team's not top, because it is Don Charles and Kieran, really nice geezer, really nice people, really, really clever as well. But Andy Lee and George from Joseph's camp, I was so impressed with the work they were doing, and how they were doing it. So yeah, again, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm gonna sit on the fence because I just don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I like Daniel, but I really like Joseph Parker. Him and his team become friends. So obviously, I'm definitely behind Joseph Parker. But Daniel's a good,
Yeah.
less.
Yeah, a million percent. Tracking back a little bit, what got you, Frazer Clarke, into boxing? Was it like self-defense, or was it just like a general interested sport? What got you into it?
I think I was as a young kid, a bit low on confidence, overweight. We liked the sport anyway. I did every sport you could think of, tried it. Used to watch Mike Tyson with my dad, so I thought, why not give it a go?
That's interesting.
Why not give it a go?
Um,
I did, and once I got there, I sort of, took to
Fell
it
in love
like a
with it.
took to it there. I fell in love with it, mate. The smell of the gym, the people you met, the atmosphere, the toughness of it. Yeah, I loved it.
It's interesting. You touched on there. You watched Mike Tyson fights with your dad. You know, you've been to a lot of fights. Obviously, you were security for AJ, Dillian White.
Yeah.
What's the best fight you've ever seen throughout your life? Even as a kid or like in person.
All right. So I've got a few favorite fights. Obviously, I love the Arturo Gatti Mickey Ward fights. They're
Mm,
classics. Love that. I have a massive love for, like, at the time, like the bantamweights. It was like Joan Manuel Marquez, Eric Morales, Barrera. Like that sort of era. I love them guys fighting each other. Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield. Love that heavyweight fight.
yeah,
That was what, obviously there's so many to mention. Juan Diaz, Juan Manuel Marquez. I love that fight as well. Pacquiao Margarito. That's another favorite. Pacquiao battered him. He was about 3 weights heavier.
yeah,
Pacquiao climbed up and smashed him to pieces. But then live, I was very lucky doing the security. Um, there was a few that just one of the ones that stands out, and to no one else, it won't be no particular, but it was Kevin Mitchell versus Linares. It was an
Oh, really?
absolute unbelievable fight. every bit of drama in the world. You know, big Kevin Mitchell's eye was big. He was nearly knocked him out a few times. Linares was fantastic. Who else? Cole Frotch, Mikkel Kessler. I was live for that one. Oh, brilliant! I
Oof.
think that one. Oh, absolute war. Two men just lumping the life out of each other. Um, who else was a really good one live? Tommy Coyle, he was always in a good fight. You know, I used to do security when he used to go, oh, Tommy Coyle, mate, was always in good fights. Talking about who was boxing. I was there the one time he boxed a fella who was on the floor about 4 or 5 times. He got up. Um, and then obviously the bad result, the one him and Derry Matthews, that was a good fight as well. So there's loads to think about. I could
Yeah,
go on forever.
could imagine. Yeah. We touched on there. You were doing security and whatnot. Doing that job. Did that make and being around the atmosphere? Being around it all. Did that make you want to obviously excel in your career and pursue boxing a bit
Yeah,
more?
I think it definitely helped a bit. I was already there, I was already on team,
Yeah,
and that was already the path I'd chosen. But getting to be around it and meet some quite amazing people that I still speak to this day. And they're involved in the business. That was always it was a good thing for me. The security. Clifton Mitchell at Security Alert, Simon Roberts, them guys. They really did help me on my way because it just kept me in the weekends rather than going out and being a nuisance, on the
yeah,
and stuff. So, big thank you to them always.
yeah. We talk about this kind of thing, but even not necessarily in terms of boxing stuff, but also I suppose in terms of boxing, who do you or did you look up to?
I think I've always got to go. Go to like people I know now that are friends, like
Yeah.
teammates. I think Andy Joshua is probably one of the biggest ones. I was around him
Mm,
a lot, and he was always a good guy to look up to. Someone who carried himself well. But then you go back, you look at Muhammad Ali, people like that, very inspirational characters. But then I had other people on the squads that I looked up to. My own teammates. They were very, very, very good fighters. Tom Stalker was he was the captain in 2012. He was a fantastic person in boxing that I met. Natasha Jonas, yeah, and then other pros that I know and have always had time for me. Tony Bellew being one of them.
yeah.
Carl Bosch. They've always had time for me, even as a little chubby kid. They've always shown me time, and I know it's much
You need
appreciated.
people like that, yeah.
They're good role models, mate. They've always had a good word in my ear, when I need them. Derek Chisora, he's been
Mm,
very, very helpful to me as a professional. Always offered to help me anytime I need it, whether that be someone to speak to, someone to go and train with, someone to spar with. There's a lot of good people in boxing.
mm. You say obviously Team GB. You were part of Team GB in 2020. You won bronze medal. In that moment, when you had that medal in your hands, what did it mean to you?
Oh, a really, really proud moment. It's a weird one, that is, because you're disappointed that it's not gold, but considering everything that went into that journey, I was very proud of that. It's just still a massive moment in my life. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, I can imagine so. I can imagine so. You put a lot of time and effort into that, and you deserved it. You know,
Like you won't believe, mate.
big upcoming fight against Ebenezer Tete, who was it previously just for Dillian White.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Obviously, not underestimating your opponent.
No, I'm not one bit, mate. To be honest, like
No,
I could have took a lot of easier touches to get back in the ring with, if I'm
yeah,
honest.
million percent,
Uh,
million percent.
but he just gave Dylan White a real good fight.
I
But
saw that. Yeah,
easy touches on something that I want. I want proper fights, real fights, and this is definitely one of them. He might not be a household name, but I tell you what, he is. He's game as anything, mate, and he's coming
you're
for.
very, very game. You will land some good flush shots on Dillian.
He was, yeah, mate. He threw all the shots in the world. So I've got like 8 weeks. I'm gonna be. Well, I've already.
You feeling confident? You feeling
Yeah,
confident for it?
I already feel good. You know what I mean? I've just come back from training with Joseph Parker. I think I give a good
Yeah,
account of myself there, sparred quite well. Um, Now it's time to do the dog work, the hard work. Got like
yeah,
8
the hard work.
grind. Obviously, I've not been feeling great this week, which isn't a good start to camp, but we'll pick it up as we go along. And yeah, 8 weeks solid work, all for a big Easter Sunday in Birmingham.
Be amazing. It'll be absolutely amazing. I'll be tuning in. Providing I want to ask you this, providing you get the win,
Yeah.
who do you see on the horizon? Do we have a hit list? Who can we see? Who can we expect? Or who would you like to fight?
Not really a hit list. There's just names like obviously there's big names in British boxing that you want to go.
Mm.
I'm never going to say no if that Fabio opportunity arises again. I know that'd be a third
Yeah,
fight.
I would quite like to watch that, to be honest, because
I,
the first fight.
the first one, I mean, obviously in his favour, the second one was very conclusive, but you know,
Uh,
I don't believe that's a true representation of
I
my
don't
son.
think it's true representation. I think
You know,
we could see a third
a third
fairly.
fight. But then there's other big names. There's David Adelaide's had a good win over Solomon not long
I was
ago.
about to ask that. I was about to ask about David Adelaide.
I don't particularly like him anyway, so I wouldn't mind fighting him. Uh, listen, there's other options are out there. Do you know what I mean? There's other big names you see like there's people just going to the next level. You see, we hear the name and Moses Atumi, great fighter and someone who I massively respect. But one day, obviously, the level he's at now, the level he's going to, I think if I keep projecting how I want to project, then one day, we could have that fight. Um,
Have you ever sparred with Moses?
no, I've never sparred him, but and I'm a massive fan of his. To be honest, he's a great fighter. But I think these are the fights you want to be in. You want to test yourself against the best. And at the minute, you'd probably say he's probably the best in Britain, if I'm honest. At the
Do you
minute,
think?
yeah,
Yeah.
there's the form and everything.
How could you see a fight with him and Fabio going? If they were to fight. Obviously, you've fought Fabio two times now.
I think he'd stop Fabio. Personally, I think yeah, he's the real deal, mate. I think he'd get to him, stop him. Yeah,
Mm, that's interesting. Um, from obviously December, Fiore Usyk, you remember that big, big,
yeah,
big fight.
yeah.
Taken away from the big, big fight, you look at the undercard, another big fight, Dave Allen versus Johnny Fisher. Obviously,
Was it?
Dave Allen's a previous rival of yours.
Yeah.
Um, how did that fight play out to you? Because it's very controversial.
Yeah.
Some people say
What,
I think Dave Allen were robbed personally, but some people say it could go either way. What do you think?
I think Dave Allen won the fight. If I'm honest, I think he won it. I think Johnny might have got away with him there, but I'm never going to begrudge Johnny that. I like him. I don't know that I don't like Dave Allen. I just think he's. I just don't buy with this nice guy thing he comes across. I don't think he's as much as a nice guy as everyone thinks he is.
Who, Johnny Fisher or Dave
No,
Allen?
no, Dave Allen.
Oh,
I like. I think I see through all the bullshit. Oh, I'm this nice guy, normal guy. When he fought me, he was half a prick, if I'm honest. And I knew him before. I,
say it
I
as
knew
it is, Fraser.
I knew him before that. I don't not like him. I just think all this
Yeah,
nice guy, nice thing you put on, a load of bollocks. Like,
load of bollocks. Yeah,
but listen, he's a good lad. Listen, and he's got a young family, so I wish him all the best. And like I
yeah,
said, I keep hearing talks about these guys being like British title level. I don't think they're nowhere near. If me and Fabio were British title level, when I fought Dave Allen, I trained for about 3 weeks. I was on my arse, wasn't even feeling one, and I beat him at a canter. It wasn't even hard to be honest. So I think they're probably English title level at the minute. But obviously they're building and they probably bring a lot more in terms of excitement, just because they're very fan friendly and they're good with the crowd and they're good with the social media. But in terms
yeah.
of actual quality, I don't think they're up there to be honest.
No,
I think Johnny's growing while he's doing absolutely fantastic. But they know with him, it's the long game. Nothing overnight. He's still young, but with Dave, he's here to try and nick a few quid. Don't let anyone else. Don't let him tell you anything else. He's here to try and nick a few quid, mate. That's it.
mm. I've got a bit of a random question for you.
Go on.
You've had a lot of fights, Fraser, a lot of fights,
Yeah.
and you've been an absolute gentleman to everyone in the sport.
Yeah.
But has there ever been a fight which you think may have got away from you or slipped away?
Mm, uh, Not as of yet. No, I think in pro boxing might happen. The amateurs, you sort of fought who you fought, didn't you? As a pro, well, it's yet to be decided. That we'll see. Like the business sort of decides in terms of that. but I hope not. I'd just like to box everyone eventually. Do you know what I mean? Like a
Yeah,
competitive person, you like to try yourself against people that are perceived to be a better fighter than you. You know, it's just the nature of the beast.
it would be a dream fighter to fight out of anyone. Obviously, got
Yeah, I
unified
think,
champion in Usyk, and we've got big
no,
names
but
like Tyson and Joshua.
I still think it'd be Joshua for me. You know what I mean? Like I know we're friends and I've known him a long time, but that'd be someone you could really test yourself against. He's a gentleman as well. I'd love that fight. I really
Yeah,
would.
yeah, yeah. Um, I've got another question. Final question, actually.
Go on.
You just touched on Joshua.
Yeah,
Tyson Fury
yeah,
says he's retired.
yeah,
And it's a big if he isn't retired
yeah.
and he's to come back to fight Joshua,
Yeah.
how would you see that fight playing out?
Um, it's difficult again because Tyson Fury's retired now. AJ's last four against the bar. It probably be a while before we see them both back in the ring. So you sort of be going off a blank canvas. None of
Yeah.
them. You want to have a lot to judge them off. So I just don't know. I don't know. I've always said Joshua, but I've seen Fury. And Usyk, especially Usyk one fight, I thought he was fantastic. Um,
What did you make it second fight?
yeah, I think he was good. I just don't think he got it. I think he needed to do more. He could have done more because he's fit as a fiddle. He just
Yeah.
didn't seem to up it when he needed to, and that can happen in a fight sometimes. You might think you're there or thereabouts. You just, from watching it, he just wasn't. He wasn't where he needed to be. But I don't know his honest answer. I just look forward to seeing it, and if it does happen, I think we've got about 12 to 18 months. After that, no one's going to be interested, are they? Do you know what I mean? Well, they'll still be interested, but you'd be getting a misrepresentation of both fighters. They'll both be closer to 40.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very, very true. Very, very true. Um, saying that though, imagine the fought about 4 or 5 years ago. What would you have said then? Joshua.
I was all Joshua at the time, that, but I've been so impressed by Fury, especially I watched Fury versus Wilder all three of them the other day, and I think he's a machine, mate. Honestly, he's
He is
such
a
a
machine.
machine, mate. So I just wouldn't know. The form determines everything in this game. I think so.
You ever sparred with Tyson?
Never done that with Tyson, no. Which I'd always love to.
Think that would
When
be interesting.
never quite got to. It'd be great to learn off him. He's a great fighter and
Do you
smart.
think he's retired? Do you think he's retired?
Nah, nah, mate. Listen, why does still want it to be? You're not retired.
It's
He's
true that.
listen. He'll have a family, and they'll have families and families and families, and he's got the opportunity to look after all of them. Why not?
Why not? And that's all the questions I've got for you today, Fraser. I
No,
appreciate you taking the time for me
no.
and speaking
Oh,
to me.
no. We're best of luck with your journey as well, mate.
Thank you very much.
I hope a lot more people give you the time as well,
I hope so.
and if not, tell them you spoke to Big Fraser and he said you got to give me an interview, so you'll be all right. All right.